Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker here with a Oolong tea to present. I'm going to go ahead and get it started, actually. Some of your Chinese oolongs, which this one is, come in, and I guess some Taiwanese as well, but I see it more often with Chinese individual packages like this. You're often talking about like 7-8 grams, I believe, for this kind of size. If it's a large portion, if you're putting it into a teapot, it's often, one serving. If you're doing a gaiwan, something smaller, it can be, you might be able to stretch it out into two. This one actually comes inside the externally vacuum sealed foil type pouch, but then inside is a clear plastic, another level of preservative there. Now I'm going to just kind of drop in enough to cover the bottom inch and a half of my gaiwan here, and then let this steep for a while and talk about it. All right, so that's a good start right there. I'm going to add my water. It's been brought to an early boil. It's been cooling for about a minute. Still plenty of heat, so that when I put this lid on, a little bit of water will rest above the rim of the lid and do just fine and give it plenty of time and plenty of heat for steeping there. Set that just like so. That looks good. Now, you talk about this tea, introduce this tea. This tea is from Teavivre. Teavivre.com is where you can go and find out about this AnxiSuperfineTGY. Tiguanyin is a Chinese tea, a Chinese oolong rather, from Fujian province. Usually, most of them, historically, Tiguanyins did move over towards Taiwan, so you do get the Taiwanese Tiguanyins, which are kind of the descendants of the Fujianese Tiguanyins. A sample size of 7 grams is available for $3 on Teavivre's website. You can find plenty of background information about tea. Teavivre does very well with telling the stories of their teas, telling background about their teas. This particular one is from Huqiu, which is the village community area within the Anxi area of Fujian province. So we're getting down from the larger province of Fujian to Anxi County to the actual kind of community or villages or even sub-region within the county there. This is an October 2012 harvest. This one was manually rolled, so there's more hand processing that goes on, rolling these up into a ball to get these into the shapes that they are in. The farmer is actually named, and there's information of an interview with the farmer. His name is Chen B.E. And that the particular processing that went on here is called the zhengchao. Now, the zhengchao is a shorter oxidation time than some of the others that are described, and again, that's explained in the interview, to where the other oxidation processes with some Tiguanyins can take days, where this one can be harvested and the oxidation is completed by say noon, okay, or by midday. So with that gives us an indication that this is what it is. In fact, a greener oolong. It has less of an oxidation. It has less of the rust tinges to it. It's got a brighter green color. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about this leaf now. It has those lush kind of bright green smells to it. I mean, looking at the leaves, these are bright, again, bright green yellow over towards a darker, rich, almost of a green blue and emerald green. There's rich, vibrant colors here. The smell, again, you're getting something around that. Some people say it's lilac. Some people say it's hyacinth. Some people say maybe even a kind of narcissus type smell. It's those sweet floral components. I've had to put my finger on it. I would say more of a hyacinth type. There's those kind of floral notes there. With that, my background says the stem, the stalk, the branches, the smell. There's a bit of a tomato plant kind of smell in there. So that's what I pick up. Looking at these leaves, if I scoop out just a bit with my spoon here, individual leaves, they are not the most tightly. They look to be individual leaves. They are not the most tightly bound into a more spherical shape. These are more closer to bald. So they're with a little bit of kind of a crumpled. So they're curled. They're crumpled up, yet not crumpled up. More like crumpled paper wads. They could have just been crumpled in any old way. Okay. So that covers most of the information about the dry leaf here. I'm going to go get ready to pour, talk about the wet leaf, and then be able to move on to the liquor. So I'm going to angle my lid over to the side here and pour just like so. Nice, deep, rich color there. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. But get ready to smell here. At this point, this is exhibiting a lot of the characteristics of other teguineans that are lightly oxidized like this, these greener teguines. There's a beanie element. There is a almost fresh lima bean type component there. With that's first, and then underneath that you get some of that sweet kind of floral, some of that hyacinth lilac type note underneath that. Beanie first, floral second. As it cools here, and in the inside of the lid, that's where you can get the floral, the hyacinth comes out a little bit more. Sweeter notes come out when you do it that way. Let me pull out a few of these leaves here. Okay, grab a little bit here. Leaves have completely unfurled in most cases, in nearly all cases really. And so you have leaves here that are 2 inches, inch and a half, 2 inches in length. Here's a nice, and these actually feel fairly thick. Okay, so not necessarily the most tender leaves, but again, for an October harvest, you're not necessarily expecting the tender spring type of leaf. You get larger sizes here. You do get some here and there that have some oxidation. This particular leaf that I pulled out here has some blotches of rust type color where some oxidation started to take place. You get ragged edges where these, either through the rolling process, most likely did get torn. Some along, you get ragged edges, so the leaves are not completely intact. But again, nice. But you get a large, mature, kind of thicker feeling leaves there. So I'm going to move now. Once you've had some experience, I'll say it this way, once you've had some experience with, say, a spring harvest versus a fall harvest of a Wulong, a Teguinean or another kind of Wulong, say, you will begin to see that the spring times generally a bit more floral notes, but more subtle in their taste, and then there's some of their other profile elements. You get into the later, the fall, that floral component will often drop, but you may get some kind of smoother, richer textures when you taste those. Something to note if you ever want to look at the two. Holding this up to the light, bright yellow, over towards a bright yellow-green type color there. Again, that light, fresh green lima bean coming out with a bit more sweetness there. It's if it was lima beans mixed with hyacinth type smell. There's still that kind of sweetness there. I'll give us a taste now. Color still looks good in the cup here too. still floral, still got a lot of strong floral components. With your green tiguanines like this, they often are noted, in relation to other tiguanines, they're often noted for their floral punchiness. It's intense. It's a bouquet of flowers in the nose, kind of thing. And so there is that strong hyacinth, lilac floral components really coming out here. Okay. Texture, there's a light texture, a very faint kind of general astringency at first. It rests more towards the front of the mouth. In the aftertaste, it's dropped off very quickly. It's more of a watery type feeling in the back of the mouth. It's as if I have just drunk, a mineral water, a nice mineral water perhaps, but still watery compared to the other textures that can come from other teas. How this one relates to other greens, this one has a bit more of the watery component compared to some of those others. Having said that, though, there is a gentle, smooth, and it's light. It's not the most intense sweetness there, but it's fairly lasting. It's gentle, but it doesn't drop off quickly either. So you do get a kind of, and there's still some of the component, the floral component, still kind of latched on to the bottom part of my mouth, still traveling up into my sinuses there. So there's still some of the residual smells going on there. So it's got a fairly lasting aftertaste in that sense, lasting aromas. Looking at this one overall, textures being what they are, aftertaste being what they are, aromas in general as they are, I would give this one. This one's tough. This one's tough. Not the smoothest, but yet strong character. And for some, on the other hand, some people would say strong character is just kind of an overcompensation for that other lack of the missing characteristics. So I tend to agree with that. I tend to say that the bouquet up the nose is covering up for something else. I think that there could be more of the nuances in the texture, while toning down a little bit of that intensity of aroma and flavor. So I would give this one an 88. A note: some people will say that greener oolongs don't rest as well in the stomach, that the old traditional ways of roasting actually was better for the overall chi, the overall way that the way that the tea sits on your stomach and is absorbed by your body. Something to consider. You may notice a sensitivity if you frequently drink a lot of greener oolongs. So come back to Walker Tea Review to learn about green oolongs, oolongs in general, and lots of other teas.